Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, Outbid, Outrank, Outplay, a survivor's guide to winning keywords. My name's Michelle, and I'm just here to get things started before I hand things off to our presenters today. So just a couple of things to go over before we get to the presentation. We will be recording the webinar, so definitely check your inboxes within the next 48 hours, and you'll have that recording as well as today's slide deck. So feel free to share that with your teammates or if you want to just review the content. Also, we will definitely save time for questions at the end of the presentation. So use your GoToWebinar question box there and definitely submit any questions throughout the presentation, and we will make sure that our experts get to those. And finally, for those of you who may not be familiar with WordStream, we are a online advertising software solution. We offer an all-in-one platform for your Facebook, AdWords, and your Bing ads. So definitely head to wordstream.com after the presentation to learn a little bit more about us and why we are so known for our thought leadership in this industry. So finally, with that, it's my pleasure to introduce you to today's presenters and pass things off to them. Take it away, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. So my name is Zena, and I'm the Director of Customer Programs here at WordStream. And today I'm joined by my colleague, Chris.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Awesome. Cool. So Chris and I actually had the privilege of scanning hundreds of accounts through the special program that we launched last year called Special Ops. And primarily what we were looking at in these accounts is identifying areas of opportunity. And so one of the biggest issues that we were able to identify was that the vast majority of accounts have way too many keywords and really more than they know what to do with. So before we jump in, just to give you guys a little bit of context, today's theme for the webinar is Survivor, based on the CBS Classic. So to give a little bit of context for those of you who might not be as familiar with this show as I am, it's one of the oldest reality series still on television. It's now on its 17th season, year, and has quite of a cult following. So the gist is that you have groups of competitors stuck on an island competing for $1 million each week, and the tribes of competitors every week must vote off a member of the island. So how does this relate to keyword hoarding? Well, it's a problematic trend, and so just like it got Survivor contestant Taylor into trouble on his Survivor season, hoarding keywords in your account is also going to be problematic for your AdWords account. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. So it's really easy to hoard keywords, especially when you are continuously testing out new keyword and match type variation. So most times advertisers don't even know that they're keyword hoarding. And there's a few misconceptions around keyword quantity that I wanted to open by dispelling for you today. And so the first misconception is that having more keywords in your account means more traffic, and this is completely false. So adding in keywords to your account does not automatically increase traffic. So let's take a look at an example, actually. So here we have an account with 275,000 keywords. Yikes. So just by looking at this account, I'm getting personally stressed out. If we look at the breakdown of impressions, we see that actually 100% of the impressions are coming from just 1% of the keywords in the account. What that means is that 98% of the keywords in here are just sitting there taking up space and clutter. So more keywords does not mean more traffic. This second misconception that many advertisers have is that adding in more keywords to your account will improve your account performance, and this is also false. So when we categorize keywords, accounts by keyword volume, we see only minuscule differences in conversion rates between low volume accounts and high volume accounts, and there's way better ways to get that 1% improvement. So I know what you guys might be thinking. I love my keywords. Who cares if they're just sitting there? They're not necessarily doing anything negative to my account. I can sort them, I can filter them, I can ignore them. And that brings us to misconception number 3, which is that there are not negative consequences to having too many keywords in your account. So what happens is if we look at quality score and keyword volume across accounts, we actually see that keyword heavy accounts suffer from a decline in quality score. So there are negative consequences. And when we actually examine why that might be the case, what we see is that there's actually hidden costs, campaign costs in maintaining a keyword heavy account. So what are those hidden costs? The first is wasted spend. You run the risk of poor performing keywords sucking up campaign budget when you have too many keywords in an account. The second is missed opportunity. So the more keywords you have, the more time you'll need to spend monitoring individual keyword performance. And the third is inefficiency. So simply put, complicated account structures lead to a higher likelihood of error. All right, so hopefully I've sold you guys on why you should be cleaning up some of that keyword clutter. It's now time for something us Survivor fans know as Tribal Council. So what I'd like to do today is help you guys vote some of your keywords off of the island. So the first keywords off of the island are our keyword hogs. So keyword hogs are keywords that are siphoning up way too much budget and spend and leaving very little for the keyword masses in your group. And here we have classic Survivor keyword hog, Debbie. But going back to keywords, there's two kinds of keyword hogs that you'll encounter in your account. There's keyword hogs that are poor performers, and there's keyword hogs that are actually top performers. So what I want to start off with today is by looking at the poor performers first, since those are the easy no-brainers to get off the island. So here we have a poor performing keyword, roofing contractor, set to modified broad. And if we look at this particular keyword, this is one keyword out of 100. And yet you can see that it's actually pulling in the majority of clicks and sucking up a disproportionate percent of spend. So this keyword accounts for 1% of the keyword count, but it is actually sucking up 16% of this particular campaign spend. So the vast majority of the keywords in this campaign have not gotten a single impression. And I want to be clear too, these are not just low search volume terms. We have a few keywords, hogs, eating up our daily budget and making it impossible for the rest of these keywords to actually get any traffic. So we don't know how some of these other keywords in the account might perform. So let's drill down a little bit deeper and look at the performance metrics associated with this particular keyword. So as we drill down, we see that this keyword has a conversion rate of 4%, a CPA of 501, and has generated one conversion over the past 30 days. However, if we compare this to the campaign average, we see a much better conversion rate of 7% in aggregate, an average CPA of 236, and 13 overall conversions. So this keyword is underperforming when compared to the campaign average. It's very clear to see that. Now, if we exclude roofing contractor from this group and just take a look at the remaining keywords performance, we see we have an even better conversion rate than our campaign average of 8% and an average CPC of $18. So keeping those two metrics consistent, we can predict what will happen if we remove roofing contractor from this group altogether, or from this campaign altogether. So keeping our 30-day spend consistent, we can predict that this will actually improve our conversion rate, so up from 7% to 8%. It'll reduce our CPA from 501 to 214, and by freeing up some of that budget, we can actually expect to pull in 172 clicks as opposed to 169, and 14 to 15 conversions as opposed to 13. So I know what you guys might be thinking at this point. This is a lot of math and a lot of work. You're telling me I need to do this kind of analysis to identify the costly keywords to eliminate from my account? No, thank you. So there is a shortcut that actually WordStream has to help with this very issue. And that is our review costly keywords alert. So jumping to a different campaign example, in this case, we're going to take a look at a siding campaign. What we see for this particular keyword that the 20-minute work week has surfaced is that this keyword, home siding contract or contractor, has an average CPC of $23.50. The campaign average CPC is $12.96. When we take a look at the conversions, this particular keyword has generated 0 conversions for us. The campaign that this keyword is in has generated 7 conversions. And when we take a look at cost, this one keyword has cost $752.13, and the campaign cost actually is $2,631.13. So what does that mean? That means that this one keyword is actually siphoning up 29% of spend. This is the perfect kind of keyword that we would want to vote off the island. So this is what this workweek alert is designed to do, and hopefully designed to help you guys out with. Cool, so that's a review costly keyword alert. Jumping into a different scenario, not all keyword hogs are poor performers. So take, for example, Survivor contestant Sandra here. She's a 2-time Survivor winner, top performer in a lot of ways, but is also a little bit of a hog. So there are keywords that also fit this bill. And I have another example here, also in this same campaign, under metal roofing. So this is our number 2 past roofing contractor. So this keyword accounts for 1% of the keyword count, but it's hogging 8% of spend. So that's still disproportionate here. And when we drill down and we look at the performance, we actually see that this keyword is performing pretty well. So it has a CPA of 54.57, well under our campaign average, and it's actually pulled in 4 conversions, which is pretty good compared to the campaign average. So what do we do here? We have a couple of different options. So option number 1 involves taking a look at our impression share. And impression share is essentially our piece of the search pie. So when we pull up our impression share for this campaign, we can see that the breakdown of impressions on loss due to budget versus loss due to rank. Ideally, we'd like the green area, so our overall impression share, to be at about 90%. The blue portion here represents an opportunity to increase budget. If our keyword hogs are performing well and we have some impression share loss due to budget, this could be a sign that we need to bump up our daily budget so that some of those remaining keywords get a little bit of love and attention, the ones that haven't gotten any traffic. Now, if we don't want to increase our budget, another option that we have is what we can think of as a campaign, or in Survivor world, tribe swap. So at various points in the Survivor cycle, our host, Jeff Probst, likes to mix things up a little bit, and he swaps the tribes that the top competitors are on. This keeps things interesting and balanced, so underdogs on one tribe might have an opportunity to start over and best some of the top dogs like Sandra. So your low traffic keywords can actually benefit from the same kind of philosophy. So option number 2 entails trying to pull out some of those low traffic keywords and moving them into their own campaign with their own daily budget. Cool. So now that we've tackled keyword hogs, it's time to vote our next group of keywords off of the island, and those keywords are low search volume terms. So you may notice when sifting through your keyword list that certain keywords are marked as limited approval due to low search volume. And the terms that are typically associated with very little search traffic on Google. And so for this reason, Google actually temporarily marks these keywords as inactive. And there's a few different reasons for why you might see a low search volume keyword flag in your account. The first being that the terms are using too restrictive of a match type, like phrase or exact, when there's just not enough volume there. It could be branded terms without recognition. And they could also be terms that are just not queried. So let's start first with our restrictive match types. So there are a couple of cases that can help out with this. The first option would be to adjust the match type. So obviously, if your low search volume term is at phrase or exact, what you can try doing is adding in that very same keyword at broad or modified broad to hopefully cast a wider net.
Hi. So we're just having a little bit of technical difficulties, so just give us just one quick second. It'll take just 2 seconds. Everybody just hang in with us.
All right, sorry about that, guys. We're going to pick off with scenario number 2, which is if you see this low search volume flag on modified broad terms. So let me just pull up this PowerPoint. Okay, cool. Awesome. So like we said, if you find that your keywords are getting this low search volume flag and they are on restrictive match types like exact or phrase, the logical next step is to try broad or modified broad. However, there are scenarios where you could be using modified broad and you still see this flag. And what happens here is that if your keyword is a super long tail term, what you want to try doing here is to remove some modifiers. So my rule of thumb is if your keyword string has 3 or more terms in there and each of them has a modifier, at that point you may as well be using phrase or exact. So you really want to try to restrict those to 2 or 2 to 3. So I'll show you guys a couple or a scenario of this in the wild to give this a little bit more context. So say you're bidding on the term Google Roofing Company's phone number, please. This is a super long tail term, and you can see what we've done here is we've actually used modifiers on each of these components. In reality, the critical components of this string that really drive the search intent are roofing and companies. So in this case, if we restrict our modifiers to these 2 terms, we're opening ourselves up to greater search volume. So say a searcher leaves out some of the terms in our former string. In this example, okay, Google, find me some roofing companies' phone listings. In scenario number 1, we actually wouldn't appear, whereas when we actually restrict ourselves to just roofing companies with our modifiers, we now open up that search volume. So we're now eligible to appear for that kind of query. So if you find that this is often the case that you're seeing a lot of modified broad terms come up under the slow search volume flag, definitely try removing some of the modifiers there. Awesome. So if you find that your low search volume terms are your branded terms, what this means is that you likely do not have enough brand recognition to bid on these terms. I know it's tough. So what do we do here? Well, the next step is to build an alliance. So building an alliance in Survivor allows individual players to come together as a much more powerful voting block. Similarly, layering cross-network advertising campaigns in Bing, on the Google Display Network, or in Facebook can help you build this brand recognition. So let's take a look at how well that can help. Cross-network searchers can have a big impact for advertisers. Starting with Bing as an example, advertisers who advertise on Bing don't just reach new people searching on Bing. They're also going to see, on average, a 26% increase in searches for their brand on Google, which is fantastic. For the Google Display Network, although click-through rates are lower than search, we see a 31% increase in brand searches on Google, which is also amazing, especially given the fact that the display network clicks tend to be much cheaper, and it's far-reaching. So the GDN actually reaches up to 90% of internet users. Social ads are arguably the most effective way to boost branded searches, and advertising on Facebook actually yields a 34% increase in the number of branded searches, which is awesome. Cool. So once you've controlled for terms that are using restrictive match types or branded terms without brand recognition, the remaining keywords are just sadly terms that are not queried. So no one's searching for these keywords. And the bad news is no one's searching for them, but the good news is these are an easy group of keywords to get off the island, get out of your account, and declutter. So a quick way to do this is to actually, you can use AdWords directly, and you can filter by limited approval low search volume terms. So the first thing you want to do is make sure to filter by status. So you want low search volume. You also want to control for match type, right? So if they're exact or phrase, we might want to actually end up changing those match types. So let's make sure that we're just looking at broad. And then if we want to leave out our branded terms, what we can do under the third filter is actually leave out keyword text and ensure where it says contains, we'll put in our branded term. Awesome. So now that we know what to do with low search volume terms, the next keywords voted off of the island are duplicate keywords. And duplicate keywords are actually more prevalent in your account than you think. So it's nearly impossible to maintain a PPC account that's free of duplicate keywords, particularly if you guys are doing ongoing testing, adjusting of match types and account settings, or if you have multiple managers working in one account. So before we jump in completely to this, I want to make sure that we all understand what a duplicate keyword is, because it's more nuanced than you think. So when you're thinking about duplicates, they're the obvious duplicate clones. These guys are often added in error. However, beyond the obvious dupes and mistakes, there are some nuances around duplicate keywords. And these nuances exist largely around changing match types. So the lines between match types have been blurring over the years as more restrictive match types have gotten looser. For example, just this month, AdWords announced changes that would widen the exact matching rules. So what does this expansion mean? Well, historically, advertisers had been keen on bidding on every variation of the keyword phrase they could think of to avoid missing out on that one magical, super high intent searcher who couldn't spell their keyword the right way. With these exact match type restriction changes, advertisers no longer have to build the lengthy list of reworded and reordered exact match keywords that they used to. So what matches to exact match nowadays? Actually a whole lot. We've got title case, non-standard characters, misspellings, singular and plural terms, grammatic variants, keyword order, function words, and a whole lot. So let's take a look at some of these changes in the wild. So the first change that we have is capitalization. So roofing companies Milwaukee, let's take a look at this term on exact match. If we have this term on exact match and we've capitalized and title cased the term, it is still eligible to serve an ad to someone who is using all lower cases. For special characters, so if someone decides to query at a question mark as an example, so roofing companies Milwaukee, if it includes a question mark, even if if you are bidding on this keyword at exact match, it is still eligible to appear and it will still serve an ad. And misspelling. So I don't know about you guys, I have a very hard time spelling Milwaukee. I think I misspelled this at least 4 different times when trying to put this deck together today. misspellings are actually eligible to appear and to match to an exact match keyword. So roofing companies Milwaukee on exact match will serve an ad to a misspelled query. Singular versus plural. So roofing companies is the keyword that we're bidding on. This is still eligible to serve to roofing company, singular. And finally, word order. And this is a big change that Google made to the exact match definition. So historically, roofing companies Milwaukee would not have served to Milwaukee roofing companies. That is now changed. So these searches, though they include a different word order, are actually eligible to appear under roofing companies Milwaukee. And then function words. So words like in, for, these searches are actually eligible to match even if they are not in the keyword itself. Cool. So what does this all mean? This means that all of these keywords that historically had been 3 distinct keywords, so roofing companies Milwaukee, Milwaukee roofing company in Milwaukee, they are now all duplicates. They all match to the same query, so these keywords are all duplicate keywords. And so what this change actually led to is that now all of a sudden accounts are struggling with and have a higher number of duplicate keywords in their account. So when we took a look at accounts across WordStream, what we found was that 18% of keywords are now duplicate keywords, at least of exact match keywords. Cool. So now that we understand the nuances, we're ready to clean up some of these duplicate keywords and get those guys off of the island, out of our account. Cool. And the first tool that we have at our disposal to help with that is Adwords Editor. So with Editor, we can set up some parameters around word order, around match types, and around location. So whether we want to look for duplicates at the ad group, campaign, or account level. And we can ignore any duplicates in removed or paused campaigns or ad groups. The only pain in using Editor is that we have to download our performance data, and it's not exactly the cleanest look, so we have to kind of manually go through the process in relevant columns to assess, which keywords we want to vote off the island. And so this brings us to our pause duplicates alert. And this alert does some of that work for you. This is an alert that we have in our software that will surface duplicates, factoring in word order for modified broad and soon to be exact. And you have access to your performance metrics within a time range that we deem statistically significant, in this case, January 8th through April 8th. So you can go through this alert and choose which keywords you want to pause based on performance. And this tool will come especially in handy as you're looking to clear some of the exact match duplicates that we just talked about. Awesome. So the tribe has spoken. We've done some great decluttering, but what I don't want you guys to leave here with is the impression that you should never add keywords in again, or that you shouldn't continue to A/B test keywords. Testing keywords is critical to the success of your account. So now that we've helped you clean things up, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Chris, who will help you avoid some of the pitfalls we've discussed.
Was it paused? Oh, all right, we'll go back a little bit. Sorry for that one. So just kind of identifying those keyword research is a balancing act. So again, we're going to go through and take a look at some of those metrics that we have set up to really make sure that we can find the winners and then move our account in the right direction and really improve that ROI that we have set up. So first thing is we'll be starting kind of with the keyword research. First item, discover the quality, targeted keywords opportunities that we have. So the ones that we know that are going to have really good impression, good volume to set up and identify new users and actually convert while they go through your landing page and go through your sales process potentially. Second thing is to turn those keywords into, the research into action. So deliverable keywords that are going to drive business, not ones that are informational. People looking for how-to, wheres, avoiding those kind of pitfalls will really allow you to kind of identify the keyword research that you have set up and turn those winners into for you. And then thirdly, just kind of, keywords that, lead to profits to your business. Again, avoiding those pitfalls of that informational kind of keywords is the best thing to do since, ultimately you're spending this type of money and you want to maximize that ROI that you have set up. So, making sure those keywords are researched properly, lead to your profits in your business, and don't bring any kind of unnecessary traffic that could cost you a ton of money, but not actually be converting for you. But you might be asking yourself why. Why are we going to do this kind of keyword research? Again, there's a lot of things that go into your account that you have set up, and making sure that we kind of align, all in one in terms of your goals and what you have set up is important. So, looking at these kind of three major aspects is very important. So budgeting and forecasting your average CPC costs. Not everyone is working with the same kind of budget that we have set up. Generally speaking, you might have a smaller budget where you can go against an enterprise that has a much larger budget. So in terms of how you fluctuate and what makes sense for your costs is really important. Again, high cost keywords may be able to work for you, or you might be kind of losing out on some of those items as well. Secondly, working with your campaign goals. What are you actually looking to get out of it? Is it, someone looking to, purchase your any roofing services that you offer, any of the contracting services? Do you want a white paper? Are you really trying to capture those leads? So really understanding, working within your campaign goals to identify, in terms of those search intents that people have, and generally making sure that it's a really good kind of intent that they have. And then always increasing your ROI. Ultimately what we want as advertisers is your AdWords to pay for itself. So if we can, eliminate some of that wasteful spend, if we can get rid of some of those keyword hogs and avoid some of those pitfalls, as Zena mentioned earlier, then we can increase that ROI and then ultimately have AdWords pay for itself. So what we want to do, kind of getting down to the nitty gritty, how do I find the right keywords? So the first thing is your website. Your website's extremely important. It's kind of, after they click on the ad, they go to your website, and that's that experience that they create. So, generally what we want people is to spend a lot of time on the website. If we have people that are not spending that much time on the website, it could not be a great user interaction. They could have been looking for something else in terms of their search intent. So really kind of, pulling back, take a look at your website, see what you're offering in terms of the contextual text that you have set up, and making sure that's aligned in terms of your keywords and your ads. Secondly, your products and your services. So, you know what your products are, what your services that you offer. So really making sure that those are aligned in terms of your ads and the keywords. Again, having that kind of alignment is really important for you. So if someone is searching maybe again for a metal roof contractor, making sure that your ad is mentioning that, and that we have the landing page that's also going through that as well. And then we have your brand. Your brand is, really important for you. People are either going to know who you are, or they're going to have to identify that kind of brand recognition to really make sure that what we have set up is, again, making sense for you. So, utilize these kind of options, your website, your products and services, and your brand to make sure that, these keywords are right for you moving forward before you add a ton of maybe competitor keywords or keywords that may have no direct correlation to what you're offering in those goods and services. So, the great thing with WordStream is we actually have a lot of additional tools to help identify those great keywords. So just kind of taking a look at our main kind of web page here, as your example is your website, we can start to kind of identify, okay, what are the best keywords that we have set up? What kind of things can I take a look and pull out that I can make sure that actually are going to bring the most relevant traffic to the website. So we have this one, for example, you can see PPC analysis. And, kind of the optimize, those type of things are really good keywords. We know that someone's looking for the analyzed PPC on the modified bride term that we have set up, and then optimized PPC as well. We can see that these items are, very prevalent on our website. It's identifying of what we want in terms of a user coming through to our website. So if we kind of hit some of those things over the head, we'll have a stronger quality score and a more likelihood that we actually are converting at a very successful rate because of that direct correlation that we're creating from our website. So again, keeping up with alignment, when we're not just talking about your cars, PPC alignment is also really important as well. So this is just kind of going back to looking at, the website, your products and services, and your brand. This would be our products and services that we offer here on WordStream. So we have things like call tracking. We have other Facebook advertising that we have set up. So as you can see, these are our goods and our services that we're offering. So we want to identify these as, potential keywords that we can draw traffic from and actually get people on our website and then kind of get them through to downloading, either a white paper or just capturing that lead more successfully than if we were, maybe looking at something for Bing where I don't mention it, on this particular products and services. So really making sure everything is aligned there is, the most important thing for you. The next one is looking at our brand. So, our brand. This is WordStream's kind of, one of our branding pages that we have set up. If we go ahead and take a look at it, again, I'm mentioning that Facebook product. This is something that really aligns with our brand because we're a marketing optimization software. So, what does that entail? It entails Facebook. We mentioned that on the website. It's really kind of a brand recognition. We can understand the search user's intent. And actually, this leads to a much better, quality score and keyword overall for your account. Another idea, managing AdWords. We're all here because we want to improve our AdWords account, and that's something that WordStream does probably better than anybody else. So we can take some of these items and understand managing AdWords is a most, unique keyword that we have set up and really kind of help drive that traffic overall to our website. But again, it really speaks to our brand, what we offer. So those types of, services and that kind of identifying keywords are extremely important for you moving forward. On top of that, we have a lot of other keywords that are mentioned, that we're kind of, again, we want to avoid some of those pitfalls that Zena mentioned. So how can we do that? Especially with some of our branded keywords and looking at our goods and services, really make sure there's the buy now keywords, those intent, the product keywords. So if you offer, again, a particular siding or even a very unique metal roofing item, really putting those keywords into your keyword list and having a very specific ad group and ad targeting those with a good landing page is probably the best solution for you moving forward. Kind of avoids any of those gray zones that you might have set up so you can't understand user search intent, because when those things aren't not really hitting the mark, then you have that, and unfortunately you could be wasting that money where people are just kind of coming through, clicking, and maybe looking for any type of free service, but they're not really looking to buy. They could be looking for a how-to guide or anything along those lines. So really focus on those buy now keywords and the product keywords to ultimately advance the users through your website successfully. So let's continue understanding the importance of our keywords. We have a couple of items that we have set up. So the first one, kind of understanding your goals, get that qualified visitors, increase the number of conversions. Ultimately I could bring people to your website and we can spend that money, but whether or not they actually convert is extremely important. And that's the end game for us. We really want people to convert. We want them buying our goods and services. We want those downloads. We want viable leads that we can turn into profits for you moving forward. Secondly, your keywords, they should be relevant to your business. If you don't offer, anything with like a pet service and you're, home remodeling, doesn't really make sense. There's no direct correlation there. So really make sure that your keywords are relevant to your business and they have a good understanding of what you offer overall. And then lastly, powerful keywords, really having those sense of, buy now, purchase now, that sense of urgency that we can create for people instead kind of avoiding any of those, just kind of, surfing around, really not sure what they want. So if you're able to kind of hit those, again, powerful keywords on a more exact term, what they're looking for. There's no gray zone for those type of things. So, if we can generally, again, like Zena mentioned, avoid those unnecessary pitfalls that can really bury your account by making sure we have those understanding keywords, then that's the best thing for you moving forward. So Other things that happened, you kind of look at it and we have like the, your survivor theme, and a lot of that unrelevant traffic comes through. So again, this is a great example. We have Beyonce here. She's kind of singing I'm a survivor, but we're not looking for Beyonce. We're looking for the survivor winners of that TV show. And this is something that happens quite often that people don't always realize with their keywords. So, making sure that relevancy is set up is very impactful for you. So let's kind of bring it in a little bit and take a little further analysis on what WordStream has to offer in terms of some of our tools and services to, further develop, those generally good keywords that we have. So again, understanding your type of queries. First thing is we have navigational. Those are, people looking for a specific website. So again, if I just type in facebook.com, that's what they're looking for. So they're looking to get to either Yelp, Facebook, Google, Bing, whatever it might be. That's a very easy navigational search that we have set up. So it's really important to understanding your type of queries because that will let you know what type of people that you're bringing to your website. Then again, we mentioned informational, the how-tos, the wheres, any of those type of search queries that they're looking for. Generally, I like to avoid those. They're not going to bring the best traffic to your website, so just avoid those ones. You really want people that are interested in your services and not someone looking for a free download or any type of guides or anything along those nature, just because it's going to cost you money and it's just not going to convert for you. So, those are just ones that I like to avoid foremost. And then transactional, this is what we want. This is what we all kind of, we need. So you might be thinking, hey, I don't really, kind of have anything that they can buy on my website. Doesn't make sense for me, Chris. We have this transactional setup. But, again, you can always sell yourself as a provider, just like WordStream does. We sell you as the optimizational tool to improve your account. So for us, that's what we want people to do. We want them to buy our service because we want to help you and improve your ROI for your account. So you can always look at it as something along those lines. So again, just putting in layman's term, navigational, just go. Informational is no. And then we have the transactional, which is your do. So it's always good to understand, those three type of search queries that we have set up and how we should probably, usually avoid the go and the no, but we always want the do. So just taking it a little bit further, just giving you a few more examples. Again, we have the navigational, informational, and transactional search intent. So as you can see below, just for the navigational, those examples that we have set up, and then again, informational, and then again, transactional. So just to give you a little further analysis on those search intents and how important they can be for your accounts moving forward. Because ultimately, if you can kind of identify the search intents, then you'll be able to understand the keywords that you're adding to your account and avoid any of those necessary people that are, again, just going to cost you money and never really convert. And that's ultimately what we want to avoid moving forward in terms of looking for good keywords. So as you can see right here, it's my boy Scott Pollard. He's a really well-known NBA player. Actually, not really, but he's kind of a bench player. But you can see him as he's avoiding some of those pitfalls going through the competition, just kind of navigating around. And that's what you want to think about in terms of your keywords too. Just really avoiding those pitfalls that we have set up. The next thing is you never want to get blindsided by your keywords. So, what we talked about is those kind of search intents. And, this is something we want to avoid. You don't want to get that blindside. So you can see, right here at Tribal Council, Cliff, was getting voted out. It's the guy standing up right now. He got blindsided. He wasn't really seeing that coming through. And that can happen with a lot of your keywords. You think about some keywords you might add on a very broad term. What that type of traffic can bring could be a little bit blindsiding in terms of cost, in terms of search intent, user interaction with your website. So, definitely do not get blindsided by those keywords and really kind of understanding what you're bringing to is if you think yourself as a customer yourself and how you'd kind of go through that process and take that step back, then you'd understand that and avoid that kind of blindside aspect. So, the real nitty-gritty that we want to do is kind of utilizing WordStream and how we can identify those clicks. So one of the alerts that we have is the add keyword alert. So if we're going back to our examples of kind of, metal roofing contractor, you can see that we have set up right here, just kind of that additional first alert that you'd get. So I'd recommend, if you want to take a little further analysis, we have a lot of great demos that you could go through and utilize. So I'd highly recommend going after and taking a look at some of the demos and on our website, running the grader and some of those other tools that we offer. But, for this example, it's our add keyword alert that we have set up. And this is kind of, taking a little bit, of a deeper dive into it. So again, what we're looking at is our metal roofing ad group, kind of taking a look at the keywords that we have set up. So if we want to kind of, drill down on some of that information that we have, you can see the advanced metrics that they're set up, estimated clicks, some of that information. If I go ahead and I hit that enable nerd mode that we have set up right here, actually does a much deeper dive. So as I kind of zoom in, this is just a zoomed in screen of what that nerd mode would look like. You can see your average CPC, your cost, your CPA, your estimated search volume. For this particular example, what we want to do is actually bring keywords that we know are going to have a lot of heavy traffic and bring users to our website. So what I can actually start to sort by is just the estimated search volume, as you can see highlighted in that column. A lot of good keywords there that we can see, some that have that 0 and the goose egg, so we want to avoid those. So I'm just going to do a quick kind of sort and just kind of sort by that estimated search volume. So now you can see I'm just kind of narrowing it down a little bit further, maybe our top 5 keywords that I want to take a further analysis on. See metal roof repair, you can see the estimated search volume for that keyword that we can have set up. So, moving forward, does that keyword make sense? Generally I would say, yeah. The metal roofing, kind of keyword that is there, knowing that there's about 800 people searching for it, says that we could probably convert highly off some of those users if we were able to write a compelling ad and send them to an even more compelling landing page that we have set up. The next kind of tool that we have within WordStream is going to be our query stream tool. So as we were just looking previously at our keyword alert tool, the query stream is actually one of my favorite tools within WordStream. You might feel like it's kind of opening Pandora's box, but it doesn't always have to feel that way. You never want to get overwhelmed by some of that search, volume that we're seeing. So just kind of, here's some helpful tips that we can see and go through and identify, what we have within that query stream report. So first thing that we're taking a look at is the, kind of search queries that we have. We have about 787 search total queries set up. So as you can see, that total search query is a cedar siding, cement board siding, vinyl siding cost. That's what we're identifying as our search queries. So those are, based off of our targeted keywords. For example, the cedar siding got triggered based off home siding because it was a broad keyword. So you can see how some of those broad keywords are really unnecessary in terms of the traffic that they bring. But, again, you're feeling a little overwhelmed. 787, search queries is quite a lot. So let's find some ways that we can identify to narrow it down and make it much more manageable for you moving forward. So the first thing that we offer is our filter system. So as you can see right here, we have cost, impressions, clicks, your CTR, conversions, query length. I generally like to go by impressions just because I want to see the search volume that we have set up. So I can go ahead and hit that apply. I don't want anything with 0. I don't need anything that's not getting any impressions at all for the account. It means it's not really searched. It's not a good keyword. It's going to add to your hoarding. It's going to add to your cluttering. And we want to avoid those things. So let's just narrow it down to 3 or more. As you can see that we have set up. I hit apply. And now I'm just looking at a much more narrow, manageable amount of search queries that we have set up. So it's at 102, much better than 787. Still might be a lofty number, but way better than 787, search queries that we have set up. So it's easier to kind of identify the winners and the losers from that smaller batch of numbers that we have set up. That's why query stream is really important and a tool that we offer to help you quickly identify those keywords, advance your accounts, and improve that ROI overall moving forward. And again, now we can just sort by that kind of conversion data. I can look at, the keywords that are just kind of converting out of those search queries, make it a much more manageable amount for you as well moving forward. So then it's a little bit easier. There's not much of a guessing game that we can see. You can see those really kind of keywords that we've hit on, siding for house, Milwaukee siding, all things that we know can generally bring really good traffic and have done so because they've converted. So that means something. We have to take advantage of that conversion data because those keywords actually have identified some powerful strengths by getting people to sign up for your services or download any of those pages that you might be offering. So let's just kind of drill down a little bit more. This is, again, looking at our kind of query stream report in a much bigger, area that we have set up. So it's just really great to kind of see, all those clicks, all those impressions, a lot of great data that we have set up. to, again, identify those winners, make it easier moving forward. So, the biggest thing that I like to do too, as Zena mentioned, is looking at your costly keywords. You can see if your keywords are averaging between $18 and $30, your budget might be, let's say $50 overall. That's about 50% of your budget based on those kind of keywords right now. So, again, we want to avoid those pitfalls. We want to take away those costly keywords. We want to identify the winners. So looking at some of those particular keywords that we have set up, because you're getting matched on a very broad term, they're not necessarily the winners we want to add. Could I expand the budget a lot further by kind of eliminating some of this wasteful spend? Absolutely, especially when we know our overall budget is about $50. So, are leaving ourselves for maybe 1-2 couple clicks per day, which isn't going to move the needle in terms of your account and definitely not improve that ROI. So, we got to be able to take advantage of this information that we have because it's really important to, use this data that's set up and maximize it as much as possible. So digging through QueryStream isn't necessarily everything that we have to offer at WordStream. There are several other tools that, are outside of WordStream scope that we do, kind of work hand in hand with a little bit. So let's just kind of further, take a look around at some of those tools. So, this is what I kind of consider the heavy lifting time with the keywords. Really, taking it a little bit further, based on that historical data that we're looking at to identify the winner. The first thing is the Google Search Trends report that you can access directly on the Google network. So you can kind of go through, identify maybe any keywords and get the historical data, historically from a couple months ago, or just kind of moving forward. So for this example, what I did is I used the term roofing, as you can see. And then this just gives you the interest over time. So, the interest kind of correlates in terms of impressions. What are people searching for? Is this a highly trafficked keyword? Is it not highly trafficked keyword? Is it too, niche in terms of your market? Are we going to be having any kind of, low search volume keywords? But, we want to get those high search volume keywords. So this is a great tool to utilize to kind of further take that, and explore around and look at those trends that are having people set up. I can even build it down a little bit further too by taking a look at the search trends report. I can look at the interest. I can do by sub-region. So I can look maybe, hey, I'm just in the Milwaukee area, or maybe I'm in Nebraska, and I'm looking for that kind of roofing, popularity within that time frame that we're looking at. So again, you can go back as far as 2011 for the overall historical data, as recent as today. For this example, we're just showing you from like October. So you can, Nebraska having about 100 searches, looking for that word roofing. It's pretty good. So that could be a general good keyword to kind of add to your overall account list without over cluttering it. And this one, again, looking at that interest, over time, you can just narrow it down by, historically the number of days that you want. This example, I'm just using 30 days. I usually like to look at 30 days unless you want to really open it up, further to look at that. But, you want to see right now, right then, in terms of what people are searching for and how relevant it could be in terms of your account. So that's why I just used that example of 30 days. And then you can even do a little bit further business, industry. You can narrow it down. Maybe not everyone is, considered in the same spectrum. You guys all have different businesses that you operate and work on and different end goals. So then you can kind of narrow it down. Maybe you're just looking for the, subcontractor style. Again, maybe you own a pet store. So really narrow it down by those business and industries is helpful to identify good keywords before you add them to your account and over clutter things. And then as you see, as I narrowed it down, I just have that kind of set up, for the roofing topics, any related, search queries that you can identify and their overall impressions they got within that last 30 days. So again, we went with that word roofing, but I can see there's roofing contractor, there's shingles, additional keywords that you might be able to expand out into other ad groups with those very highly targeted ad groups and very targeted landing pages as well. So now that we've kind of identified some of the ways to get those winners, it's time to kind of name the winner overall for our survivor. So let's just kind of recap a little bit. Make sure you're cleaning up your keyword clutters. Less is more sometimes. It's a simple saying, but it's something that everyone can live by and really make sure. You don't need 1,000 keywords to generate the best traffic. You might need to. You could always, have maybe one potentially. It is a numbers game, but really making sure they're relevant and you don't have too much clutter going on in keywords that bring unnecessary traffic, unnecessary cost in terms of your account. So be aware of those hogs. Knowing my example that I use a lot of times for clients is, you think about, you're sitting at the dinner table for Thanksgiving, you might have the quote unquote chubby cousin that's always stealing the mashed potatoes, but you want a little bit of the mashed potatoes as well. So make sure that there's not just that one kid taking all of that kind of the good stuff for you. So just make sure it gets divvied up evenly. Clean out those low search volume keywords, check for your match types. Again, those broad keywords, can really cast a wide net for you, but be careful of that. That net might go a little too wide that you're offering, and you might want to narrow it down. So, vary your keywords that you have set up, stack your bids, and make sure you're using the appropriate match types that are really aligned in terms of your brand recognition issues. Be cognizant of your match rules when cleaning up duplicates. Again, as Zena mentioned, you have a lot of those misspellings, pluralizations, stemmings, all those keywords that can kind of branch out and further expand your list. Just be aware of that and what you might already have set up in your account. So if you have roofing contractor and roofing contractors, those keywords will be competing with each other, eating into your overall budget, and just kind of, muddying up the waters for you. And then in terms of finding the winners, start with the keywords with your website, your product, your services, your brands, things that that really hit true to your home and what you have to offer. Why you are so important and what makes you different in terms of your competitors. So use that information to the best of your ability to identifying some of those keywords. Stick to transactional terms. Avoid any of that informational, those how-tos. Really start up some of those powerful keywords in terms of buying, making the purchases. Those type of things that are, you lead to an actual transaction are the most important for you. And then again, don't be blind to your metrics when looking at the keyword data. It's important to identify, all that historical data that Google provides for us, because it helps you kind of move forward in terms of that keyword, if it makes sense, if it doesn't, or where you want to kind of move forward in terms of your keyword research as you start to either eliminate or add, new performing keywords to your website. So with that, thank you for everyone attending. Now we're going to open up the Q&A session. So here we go.
Awesome. Thanks so much to Chris and Zena for all that insight. We're definitely tight on time here because of our technical issues. So we apologize again for that. And thank you guys for sticking with us. While we get to some of the questions that came in, I'm just going to launch this quick little poll for you guys. Chris and Zena showed us lots of different snippets of the WordStream Advisor software. If you guys want to see those in action for your own account, definitely just check yes here, and then one of our certified consultants will connect with you, and they can kind of show you how these features can help your particular account. So go ahead and select that if that interests you. And so, like I said, tight on time, but I will get to at least one question here. So we talked a lot about kind of getting rid of keywords, getting them off the island. What about changing the match type to be more specific? Is that something that can be an option before getting rid of a keyword?
Yeah, absolutely. Really making more restrictive match types, again, like we talked about, avoids that gray area, allows you to identify their search intent that much stronger. As we mentioned, a broad keyword casts a very large net, but you're not always sure what their intent is. If it is directly correlated to your keyword, if it's completely off topic, again, we could do home citing, but they could be looking for citing for their car. So those type of, very broad and, unrestrictive match types just generally don't bring always the best traffic for you. It's great starting out, you get to understand some of that information and develop a good theory in terms of those keywords, but the more restrictive, the easier it is to understand their search intent.
Awesome, great. So most of these questions really had a lot to do with steps that you can take before eliminating a keyword, but those came earlier on in the presentation. So I think that your presentation did a great job of answering those. So Everybody, if you do continue to have questions, you'll be receiving an email from us with the slide deck and the presentation, so feel free to reply there if you feel like your question wasn't answered today. Again, thank you so much for sticking with us. Definitely check out wordstream.com. If you haven't yet run our AdWords Performance Grader, I highly, highly recommend that. It takes 60 seconds, and it can give you a really, really great comprehensive report on how your AdWords account is currently performing. So check that out. Check out our website and keep an eye on your inbox for the recording and the slide deck. Thank you all for joining, and thank you to Chris and Zena for all of the insight today.